Asterisk, asterisk. The myth we're dying from, asterisk, asterisk. What if the very thing we've been taught makes us strong is actually killing us? I want you to sit with that question for a moment. Let it settle. Let it unsettle you. Because the answer isn't comfortable. The answer requires us to confront a truth that's been buried under generations of expectation, performance, and silence. I recently had the profound honor of sitting down with Rosita Gorbea, a married Black woman who's been navigating depression while carrying the weight of a myth so many of us know too well. Rosita is a force, a truth teller, someone who's piercing through the silence that's been suffocating Black women for generations. Her voice, her story, her courage to say what so many of us have been afraid to whisper is changing lives. She's making the world a better place by refusing to let the myth define her, by choosing emotional honesty over performance, by showing us that healing is not only possible but necessary. And today I'm sharing what she taught me, what the data confirms, and what we all need to hear if we're ever going to stop surviving and start thriving. Because here's the truth, we've been sold a lie. The strong Black woman, resilient, self sacrificing, emotionally bulletproof, always holding it together no matter the cost. We wear this badge like armor, but it's not protecting us, it's crushing us. And Rosita, in all her raw honesty, said what needed to be said. This myth is outdated, it's harmful, and it's time we let it go. Let me be absolutely clear. This isn't about rejecting strength. This is about rejecting the version of strength that demands we suppress our pain, silence our needs, and sacrifice our mental health on the altar of everyone else's comfort. Because when we do that, when we swallow our emotions and keep pushing through, we're not being strong. We're being depleted. We're being depressed. And the research backs this up. A study of 347 Black women, ages 19 to 24, many of them married or in committed relationships, found that the strong Black woman schema, this cultural script that tells us to be self sacrificing and emotionally suppressed, is directly linked to higher rates of depressive symptoms. These women, navigating the intersecting pressures of race and gender, were drowning under the weight of expectations that told them to carry everything and show nothing. But here's where it gets powerful. The same study found that Black identity centrality, making your racial identity core to your self concept, acts as a protective shield against depression. Even in the face of discrimination, even when the world is throwing everything at you, centering your Black identity promotes well being through self preservation and rest, not suppression, rest. Think about that. The very thing we've been told to hide, our Blackness, our full selves, is actually what protects us. When these women embraced their Black identity, when they made it central to who they are, their distress scores dropped. They forged resilience not through suppression, but through identity. They sparked cultural movements toward rest over performance. They chose themselves. Rosita shared with me how embracing her Black identity shifted everything for her. It wasn't about denying her struggles or pretending the pain wasn't real. It was about refusing to let the myth define her. It was about choosing rest over performance, emotional honesty over silence, and self love over self sacrifice. And in doing so, she found a path to healing that didn't require her to be superhuman. It required her to be human. So let's talk about what this means for us, for the high achieving Black women listening right now, the ones who've been leading teams, raising families, holding down households, carrying communities, the ones who are exhausted, the ones who are ready to shift from constantly grinding to finally grounding in joy, peace, softness, and self prioritization. This is your soft girl era. This is your sacred pause. And it starts with three lessons. drawn straight from Rosita's story and the data that confirms it. Lesson 1: reject the strong Black woman myth. Prioritize rest and emotional honesty over suppression to cut your depression risk. Black identity centrality acts as a shield, independent of those pressures. You don't have to carry the cape anymore. You don't have to be strong in the way the world has defined it. You can be soft, you can be vulnerable, you can rest, and you can still be powerful. In fact, that's where your real power lives. That's where healing begins. Lesson 2: seek culturally competent care boldly. Here's a statistic that should make us all pause. Only 1 in 3 Black adults gets treatment for mental health issues. 1 in 3. And meanwhile, suicide rates among Black youth have increased by 144% between 2007 and 2020. 144%. We are in a crisis, and the silence is costing us lives. Break the stigma, demand space that honor your full self. Find therapists, counselors, healers who understand the unique pressures you face as a Black woman. Don't settle for care that doesn't see you. Don't accept spaces that ask you to shrink or explain yourself. You deserve to be fully seen, fully heard, fully supported. Lesson 3: build healing circles in marriage and community. As matriarchs, we've been taught to carry the load alone. But Rosita's story shows us that voicing depression, sharing the burden, actually strengthens families. It counters the trauma from racism and unmet needs. It creates space for everyone to heal. Start a care circle this week. Gather your sisters, your friends, your family. Create a space where emotional honesty is celebrated, not shamed. Where rest is sacred, not selfish. Where vulnerability is power, not weakness. Now, let me share 3 stories that bring these lessons to life. Real stories of Black women, married or in family roles, overcoming depression through identity affirming paths. Stories that prove this isn't theory, this is transformation. Picture this: 347 Black women ages 19 to 24, many of them married or partnered, participating in a survey exploring the impact of strong Black woman pressures versus Black identity centrality on depression risk. These women were facing intersecting racial and gender stress. The challenges were real and relentless. Self sacrifice and emotional suppression were leading to higher depressive symptoms, especially in the face of discrimination. They were taught to be strong, to hold it together, to never crack, and it was breaking them. But here's what changed everything: they embraced Black identity centrality. They made their racial identity core to their self concept, and they resisted the harmful schemas that demanded they suppress their emotions. The outcome? Identity centrality protected them against depression even when controlling for sociodemographics. Their distress scores dropped. They forged resilience through identity, slashing depression odds, and sparking cultural movements toward rest over suppression. This study highlights identity as a mental health buffer, influencing Black women's health narratives amid rising youth depression gaps. These women didn't just survive, they reclaimed themselves. Now, let me tell you about Donita Hathaway and her Piercing the Pain initiative, launching in the first quarter of 2026. This initiative targets Black women mental health professionals and families, including matriarchs and marriages handling depression stigma. The challenges are staggering: rising Black youth suicides, over 50% increase, trauma from racism, only 1 in 3 Black adults getting treatment, family violence from unmet needs falling disproportionately on women. The weight of it all, crushing. Hathaway's solution: care circles, testimonials, storytelling with Black women leaders for trauma informed healing. The outcomes are already empowering voices, opening treatment paths, reducing depletion in families. Amid political attacks and the loss of loved ones, Hathaway mobilized after reports on the Black youth suicide crisis. She forged alliances that pierced stigma, unleashing Black women's power in raw, conscious care circles, turning heartbreak into communal strength. This initiative is building healing spaces that counter systemic failures, lowering suicide trends, and inspiring Black family mental health equity. Hathaway is showing us that when we create spaces for truth, we create spaces for healing, and healing is contagious. And then there's this latent class analysis of 482 Black young adult women, ages 18 to 35, many married or partnered, linking cardiovascular health classes to mental health. These women were facing high depression, anxiety, and stress burdens tied to poor cardiovascular health, amplified by gendered racial stressors. They were battling on multiple fronts, and their bodies were keeping the score. The solution: a moderate to high cardiovascular health class achieved through identity and lifestyle changes, reducing symptoms. The outcome: fewer depression symptoms compared to other classes, proving the mental physical health link. These women triumphed in intersectional analysis, claiming lower distress through holistic health, becoming a beacon for young Black wives battling silently. This study advances prevention for Black women, tying mental health to long term disease reduction amid disparities. It shows us that when we care for our bodies, we care for our minds. When we honor our whole selves, we heal. Now imagine if more Black women and families adopted this approach, ditching suppression for identity centrality and care circles. The data screams transformation. Depression gaps narrow. Treatment rates jump beyond 33% for Black adults. Suicides drop, reversing that 144% youth rise. Families heal from matriarch overload, sparking community wide mental health equity. This is the shift we're making in the soft girl era. This is the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. It's not a trend, it's a lifestyle rebellion, a deep exhale from the Superwoman script, a quiet but powerful return to softness, rest, self trust, and radical joy. Rosita taught me something profound. She taught me that learning to be soft in a world that taught us our survival is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's releasing the cape, redefining strength, embracing softness, healing in real time, protecting peace as a practice, and turning survival into something sacred. So here's what I need you to hear: this isn't just about feeling better, this is about survival. This is about our daughters, our sisters, our communities. This is about refusing to pass down trauma disguised as strength. This is about breaking generational cycles of silence and suffering. And here's what I need you to do tonight: text one sister, one wife, one friend, ask them, how's your heart really? And then share your own story, your own struggle, your own journey towards softness. Break the chain, pierce the silence. Because when we speak our truth, when we refuse to carry the myth anymore, we don't just heal ourselves, we heal our families, our communities, our future. Start a care circle this week. Gather women who are ready to drop the cape. Create a space where rest is revolutionary, where vulnerability is valued, where Black identity is celebrated as the shield it truly is. Seek out culturally competent care. Demand it. Don't settle for spaces that don't see you. Don't accept care that asks you to explain your pain in ways that make others comfortable. You deserve healers who understand the intersection of race, gender, and mental health. You deserve to be fully supported. And most importantly, choose yourself. Choose rest, choose softness, choose emotional honesty. Choose your soft girl era, not because you've burned out, but because you deserve to thrive, because your life, your joy, your peace matters. Rosita Gorbea, thank you for your passionate honesty and integrity. Thank you for showing us That softness is not surrender, it's strength redefined. And to everyone listening, carry this fire. Your soft girl era is waiting, and it starts the moment you choose rest over performance, emotional honesty over silence, and yourself over the myth. The question is no longer whether we can afford to be soft. The question is, can we afford not to be?